There's a bit of film that reminds me of Charles II. He's the fellow who said that the British climate is the best climate in the world because it's the only one in which you can go out of doors any day of the year without actual discomfort. That's what he said. I don't know how old Charles II lived to, I can't remember. But I do know it's not quite like that me nowadays. I used to go fishing any time, go on Boxing Day, try and catch a pike in the frost. But when I saw this bit of film again, I realised that I certainly would never again waste my time trying to go coarse fishing in a howling gale. There can be no sensible reason for going fishing on a day like this. I didn't know it was quite as bad as this till I got outside, but in any case, my reason for going fishing was quite ignoble. There was a tea party that I wished to avoid because the company didn't attract me greatly, and so I said, well, I'm awfully sorry, but it didn't attract me greatly, and so I said, well, I'm awfully sorry, but I've got a chance to try a bit of water belongs to a friend of mine, so I'm going to catch a fish. And that's how I landed at this particular stretch of the river when the wind was already rising. Well, no sane float fisherman will ever go fishing if it's really high wind. I remember a famous fishing pier writing the introduction to one of the old badminton sporting library books said you should look out of your window and if you can see the tops of the trees stirring, do not go fishing. Well, they were more than stirring on this occasion. And not only that, but the little bit of water which the fellow told me I could try if I liked, and that part of the story was true, the little bit of water was absolutely surrounded by trees overhanging and by bushes alongside. And worse than that, it was flanked by a 2-wire barbed wire fence right along the edge where I was going to be sitting. And these circumstances, using the light tackle and a tiny float, one would use in this fairly shallow water, your chances of being caught up about once every 2 minutes were very good indeed. So I did what I taught myself to do actually long ago in the army. If I've got to do something difficult against odds and I don't want to do it, the only thing to do is to grit your teeth and go through it, telling yourself all the time what you're doing. So I said, get the bucket and get a bit of water out of the stream to make some ground bait. That's right, stir up a little ground bait and make it rather heavy or it'll all fly over the water in dust. And slip it in and see if you can throw it just where it'll settle in the water on the bottom about 30 yards below us here. That's the sort of place that looks to me there ought to be a fish. So I got that far. And now I'll put a bit of bread in my maggot bag. That brands me as a North Countryman. Only North Countrymen carry their maggots in linen bags hung round their necks. That one was made by my auntie long, long ago. And now, very carefully, don't let go of that line for a moment or it'll be caught up in something. Don't try a long cast, just drop it in the water very close and we'll trot it down on the current. There goes the little quill float. That's where the ground bat is lying, right underneath that willow bush hanging down on the water. Do remember, if you do get a bite, don't strike too hard, because if you lift that float even 6 inches out of the water, it'll be stuck in a tree. I wonder if I'm enjoying this. Well, I wasn't enjoying it much, and I didn't catch any fish on the maggots, so I went over to a lump of crust. Now that lump of crust, with the current, with the wind against the current pushing the float back, is liable to be lifting rather high and floating near the top, so if I get anything, it might be a chub. And the wind is now about twice as high as when I sat down. There's only one good thing about this day in the country, which is that it's a good year for blackberries. Higher and higher the gale rose. Failure after failure in my attempts to catch a fish. I think we'll put a bit more weight on and go back to maggots. See if we can get the bait further down and trickle it along the bottom. Right. Make sure that the line's right in pick up. Perhaps a little bit of extra cloud bait. Try and keep a taste in the water. These fish at this time of the year, when the weather's cold, often take a long time to bring on the feed. If I'm lucky, if I do bring them on a feed, I might catch quite a few. But there's no sign of them feeding yet. Quite apart from the fact it's not at all easy to see that float in the ripple of that water. I wonder how the tea party's going. A bit further out from the bank. Perhaps. I think I'm getting a feeling the water's a bit deeper there. I've got him. Well, well. I said I was going to catch a fish and I've caught one. That's a magnificent effort. The result of character and concentration. That's it. Now the fish are feeding, of course. It's probable we can catch quite a few. So we'll put the keep net in the water and perhaps settle down to see if there are more to come. I didn't wait to see if there are any more to come. I walked home slowly in the hope the tea party was over.